Hi Stampers, welcome to Tuesday's Tips, Techniques, and Trends Made Simple. These are being brought to you by Judy Anderson from judystamps.com. For today, we are going to be not doing any stamping. I'm actually going to be showing you how to do a fabric and paper flower. If you read my post on this past Sunday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, you would have seen the share that I did with this lovely wreath, spring wreath that we made at my all-day event. Now I promised you that I'd teach you how to make one of the flowers, and the one I'm going to be teaching you today is this blue one here and this blue one here also. It's made with paper and our fabric. So for today I'm using our T4 Designer Series fabric. They come in these three lovely patterns that match our Designer Series paper. We're going to be needing our Stampin' Spritzer. This is a product that I think that everybody needs to have in their toolbox. This is a fine mist spritzer, and it also can do blobby dots if you want. It makes your spattering so easy with this. You get two of them for $2.95, so that's a steal of a deal, guys. Then we're going to need our paper piercing tool. We're going to need some brads. I selected the silver 1/8 mini brads, and then our Stampin' Pearson mat. Then a product that you probably have in your cupboard someplace, if you're like me, stashed away way back in the cupboard, is some spray starch. You're also going to need the Scallop Circle Big Z die, and I went ahead and cut several of these out. You're going to need two cut out of your desired fabric and two cut from your desired paper. I'm using Very Vanilla cardstock for mine today. The thing you're going to want to do first in your project is take your spray starch, make sure you shake it up really good, and just spray your fabric. You want it to cover evenly. Don't overdouse it because you're going to be waiting forever for this to dry, and if you're like me, you're anxious to do your project. You're just going to scrunch it up like that and roll it in your ball if you want, and you're going to set it aside until it dries. Now sometimes what I'll do to get it to dry quicker is I will actually run it through or heat it up with my heat tool, but you need to be careful because you can burn it. The other item I forgot to tell you about is your bone folder. You're going to take your papers, your cardstock. If you use cardstock, I like to make it a little bit thinner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distress it. I want to break down the fibers of this cardstock. So you'll notice that when I'm doing this, I'm going all the way to the edges. You want to make sure you get that paper distressed a lot and broken down, those scallops. I find it's easiest going from the center out when you do this, and then I'll kind of run it along the edge very carefully, not ripping those scallops. Do it on one side and then I'll do it on the other side, and you can kind of tell when it's breaking down. It's kind of shiny a little bit here, and I'm hoping that this is enough. Your paper almost feels thinner, even though it's not. It's just breaking the fibers down. So you can do that to both pieces. Now you don't have to do this step, but I like to do it because I like my cardstock a little bit thinner. If you're using Designer Series paper, you're going to skip this step. And you want to start taking apart the two layers of cardstock very gently. You'll notice I'm just kind of lifting it a little bit to release that paper, just making sure that those scallop edges are coming apart without tearing. Once you get about this far, you can kind of very slowly pull it apart. Now you will see that it's a little bit thinner on one side. That's just how it's coming apart. So when it does that, I start from the other side a little bit, because you'll see that that layer of paper kind of comes off on the other side. And that's okay, because you're really not going to see that. So you're going to do that to both pieces. Next, what you're going to do is stick your, depending on which side you want up, there have been instances I've used this rough side, but today we're going to use the ultra smooth side of this. And now I'm going to take my Stampin' Spritzer. I have filled this with about 4 drops of the Baja Breeze re-inker. It's the same re-inker you use for to re-ink your ink pads when they're a little bit dry. So double purpose here. Put some water in. It depends on the consistency you want. Originally I had it a little bit thicker, but I decided I wanted it a little bit thinner. I'm going to lift this up a little bit because I don't want to get my audience here. And I'm just going to spritz. You want to make sure that the direction of the sprayer is away from you. Believe me, I've had it hit me in the face. And as you notice, I've got some blobs and I've got some fine mist. I'm just going to set this aside and let it dry. I'm going to do the same thing to the second one. And like I said, depending on how you want that, this is fine. It's going to dry. Put your cap back on. As you can tell, I've been doing a lot of this. My nails are stained. When it dries, this is what you're going to get. Now, right before it's all the way dry, and this one is pretty dry, what you want to do is you want to crinkle this up, just like you did with the material, and roll it up and set it aside. Let it rest for a little bit to hold those crinkles. Once it's rested a little bit, what you will do is very gently pull this apart. Okay, I'm going to move this now because it's wet and I don't want my paper to get wet anymore. So you're going to do that. You're going to have 4 of these. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you'll notice on this one it's tore a little bit. It's okay. No big deal. No sweat. When your fabric has dried, what you are going to do is, just like with the paper, you're just going to pull it apart. So you'll have 2 of these and 4 of the cardstock. Next, you're going to take your paper piercing mat and your piercing tool. Now when I layer these, when I made my flowers, I layered the 4 cardstocks on the bottom, and they don't have to match up exactly. Remember, nothing in nature is perfect. So that's why I like this, because I'm far from perfect. Don't tell my husband though. I keep telling him I'm perfect. Then I'm going to lay my 2 pieces of fabric down and find about the center. Now you don't have to layer this with all 4 cardstocks in the back, or your paper and your material on top. I could choose to do 2 layers of the cardstock and then 1 of the fabric, 2 layers of cardstock of fabric. I could do every other one. You build your flower how you want, but this is how we did ours at my event. Then you're going to take your paper piercing tool, stick it through, and just kind of rub it around a little bit. This just makes the hole just a little bit bigger. And then you will be taking your brad and you're going to be sticking it through that hole. And of course I picked one that was opened a little bit, so let's get this one and stick it through. Okay, that's because I'm on TV, so it's not going to work right. You know how that is. I guess this isn't the miracle of TV today. I pull that trick on you guys every once in a while. Okay, I'm going to stick that brad through. This one went through fine. Okay, you're going to open the legs up. And I start squishing my layers back up again. You want the wrinkles in this. And by squishing the cardstock up like this around the fabric, this is also, besides the spray starch giving it some body, this is going to give it some stiffness and hold its shape. And then see, I just kind of wad it up like that. So it's a big wad. And now you're going to let it open up. And you open it up as much as you want. Mine in my wreath were opened quite a bit because I opened it up, and in the center, found the center, I placed a button. This is one of our subtle buttons. You can set that in the middle and just take and dab some hot glue in there, and that'll set. Otherwise, you can leave it just scrunched up in the middle like that. And there is your fabric and paper flower. Thank you for visiting today, and we'll see you again next week. Happy stamping!